Do you remember your first job? I do mine. As a matter of fact, one of the most important lessons I ever learned in business is from my first job. I was 13 years old. Now, I had odd jobs before that, but this is the first one where I actually had to go to a specific location every single day. The job was selling, believe it or not. Selling on the telephone. What we sold was actually, at the time I thought, and still do, that it was a great product. It was a coupon book full of discounts to local businesses. Now, the businesses had all agreed to offer those discounts, and the cost of the coupon book was far, far less than the total of the discounts, even if you only used a handful of them. So it was a great product to sell, but just like any other product that you call someone about on the phone, very few people are going to buy it. But what struck me about this first job was the preparation. We went over exactly what people would say and how to respond to that. There are only a number of things that people will say not to buy, and we knew what to say to every one of those. When something new came up, we would gather as a group and talk about how to handle that. So the preparation in advance really struck me. It was something that was very, very important in that particular situation. So how do you prepare, and how does this apply to selling your home? Well, let me show you exactly what I mean. Hi, Stuart Sutton at Agent Finder, where we use a combination of AI and human expertise to find you the very best real estate agent for your specific home. So you heard the old saying, measure twice, cut once. It's not an old saying for nothing. If you've seen other videos that I've done on preparation, you know that I always comment on this. In Russia, they say, measure 7 times, cut once. That is extraordinary preparation, and maybe why it takes so long to get things done in Russia. But measure twice, cut once is a great rule to follow no matter what you're doing. If in selling your home, it is extremely important. Let's think about how you can prepare in advance. We're going to talk specifically about issues with the home on this video. What are the most expensive things related to your home? Well, the roof would be one. My roofer charges $99 to come out and check the roof. That's it. Now, he'll do it for my house for free, but I hire him to check homes that we used to put on the market, and he would climb on the roof, he would check it, he'd let me know it was okay. Now, let's just say that you have your roof checked and it's not okay. Well, isn't it better to know now than later? It's better to know right now and do something about it than have the buyer's inspector find it and then you have to deal with it. Having taken care of it now makes the buyer more confident about your maintenance of the home. So, quick little tip here. If there's hail damage for any reason, you need to put a claim in and have your insurance adjuster come out. Do not let them come out alone. I have a policy. I never, ever, ever let an insurance adjuster on the roof of one of my properties unless my roofer is there with them. I have had many occasions where the insurance adjuster was not going to prove it, but the roofer pointed out the specific hail damage and pretty much forced the adjuster's hand. Now, there's some great adjusters. I actually have a good friend whose father has been an adjuster for a long time, and I would trust him absolutely, totally. And there are many people like that in insurance adjusting, but sometimes it's not the case. So it's best to have your roofer there if you have an insurance adjuster on your roof. What's another very expensive item in your home? Foundation. Now, there are areas in my market where you wouldn't even think about having a foundation inspection. It's on solid rock. Absolutely no way you're going to have issues. Are there sometimes? Yes, but it's very rare. But there are areas of town where it's clay soil and it expands and contracts, and there are foundation issues. Again, have a foundation company come out. That one is really no cost. And if they find a problem, it's better to know now than later. Here's another quick tip. If the foundation company finds an issue and it doesn't seem to be major and you don't feel like, well, this is major, or you feel like this is kind of close, or is there really a problem? Have an engineer come out. Now that gets to be a little more expensive, but it's worth the investment. An engineer will come out, write a report, and I have seen engineers disagree with foundation companies because, let's face it, the foundation company's looking for work. Now, I'm not questioning their integrity. They are very good at what they do. But if it's really close, they might recommend foundation work, whereas an engineer might say, don't need foundation work. So there's a little tip regarding the foundation. But you've got a roof report saying your roof's in great shape. You've got a foundation report saying your foundation's in great shape. What's next? Well, how about HVAC, air conditioning, heating, vents? That's a pretty expensive part of the home as well. An air conditioning tech can come out and service and inspect the HVAC and give you a good report on that. Again, if there's a problem, isn't it better to know now? Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. If your unit is old, but it's still in working order, that might not dissuade a buyer from looking for a new one. If it's, however, 6 or 8 or 9, 10 years old, maybe even 11 or 12. But if it's past 10 years old, a lot of buyers are going to think, all right, I'm going to be footing the bill for this pretty soon. So you might mentally think about, all right, I might have to negotiate that. All right. But if you've got reports that the roof, the foundation, the air conditioner are all in good shape, you are going to have a much more confident buyer. What's next? Well, electrical issues. Again, my electrician charges me $99 to go out and check a house. Make sure that the panel is in good order, that the code has met. Now, you don't have to meet code. As a matter of fact, we rarely do on homes that are more than a few years old. But there are some things like ground fault circuit interrupter plugs that some older houses may not have. And those are wise to go ahead and install because just about every buyer asks for those. So have the electrician check things over, give you a thumbs up, a good report, and there's one more expensive item out of the way. The next is a water heater. Seems like not too long ago we could replace those for $400 or $500. Now it seems like it's $2,000 or more. So just have your plumber come out, give you a thumbs up on that. Everything's great, everything's in working order. Or if it needs a new valve or needs something else, or if it needs to be replaced, you ought to address it now instead of having the buyer find it. I'm going to just share something with you that you may or may not have ever heard before, but buyers always overestimate the cost of repairs. And that is pretty much universal no matter where you're located. Buyers overestimate the cost of repairs. And can you blame them? Because what if the cost comes in more than anticipated? It's just something that seems to be a normal phenomenon when you're selling a home. And appliances, they're just not as inexpensive as they used to be. We could replace, again, it seems like just a few years ago, we could replace a dishwasher for $300 or $400. Just don't seem to be able to do that anymore. So you probably know if your appliances all are in good working order, and you're aware of that. So that's not something you probably have to have somebody come out and check. Termites, depending on where you're located, a termite inspection, again, not very expensive, but having a professional write up and say, hey, this house is clear of termites. Now let me give you a tip on that. There is something called conducive conditions. And if the buyer has a mortgage, they may want it treated for conducive conditions. Well, what does that mean? It means you don't have termites, but you've got conditions that would allow for termites. So if you have it checked in advance, you can remove the conducive conditions. So the buyer's termite inspector doesn't find anything. Now, if it's soon enough, you can use your termite report if it's clear. But if it takes a little longer, then they'll have to get a new report. But I want you to think about this. You're a buyer. You come to a home. You've looked at a lot of homes. You're thinking about buying it, and you find that the seller has had the roof inspected, the air conditioning and heating inspected, the foundation inspected, electrical, plumbing, termite, aren't you going to feel more confident about the purchase of that home? Of course you are, and your buyer will feel exactly the same way. Now you have two routes you can take on this. Have your roofer come out, your electrician come out, your plumber come out, etc. Or you can have a home inspection. The home inspector will check everything and red flag. Then you might have to have the electrician come out and the AC guy come out. Bottom line is that you can go either way. It's simply your choice, but do one or the other. Remember, measure twice, cut once. The number one reason contracts terminate in my market is inspections. So be prepared, measure twice, cut once. Now, why am I telling you all this when my service is to find the best real estate agent for your specific home? Well, I want you to know this. We don't interview in complete detail every single agent. That would be impossible. So when you're talking to agents, get their feel for having an inspection or the individual inspections. And if they are just totally against it, you have an agent who may not be really into the preparation process. And you might have to educate them a little bit if you really want to be prepared, or you might decide to choose another agent who is behind and in full favor of that process and knows how to handle it. Hope this makes sense to you. Remember, I always put another video up for you. It's always got some great tips on it, just like this one does. Subscribe if you like what you're seeing, and remember, it's your choice, so make it a powerful day. Bye-bye.